One, go. Yeah, hello, this is Gaurav, Ayaan, and welcome to my YouTube podcast. After so many days, we will be doing this show with the Lucas, with my Australian Aussie mate. The test match has just finished, I think, probably 30 minutes before, and the match finished in, obviously, as it was as expected, that match will finish in 3 days. A lot of people told to India, and the match finishes in 3 or 4 days because the other team don't learn to play spin in India. And so, obviously, we will discuss about this first test match between India versus Sri Lanka with none other than my Aussie mate, Lucas. Lucas, welcome to the show, and how are you, mate?
I'm very good, thank you, Gaurav. Thank you for having me.
And how are you? How is your cricket going, man? You have been practicing a lot and been uploading the video in the Twitter. I've seen you keeping. You become a keeper, right?
Yeah, I've become a keeper. As I
Yes.
mentioned this with Michael Wagner. I am learning. So at 30 years of age, I'm learning to become a keeper. Um,
Okay.
if anyone's out there watching, it's never too late.
It's
No
never
such
too
thing
late,
as
right?
too old to keep.
Yeah.
So I'm doing that myself, and hopefully pushing myself to a couple of bigger grades next season.
Finger crossed, guys. Buddy, let's do this. Let's start about the test matches. Obviously, a lot of team told to India, and you know what happened on India. Once you don't learn to play how to play spin, you won't survive here, right? And the same thing happened with the Sri Lanka game.
Well, exactly right. In India, we know that pitchers are rank turners. You really have to make
By the way,
most of your.
this pitch was much better. By the way, this pitch was much better than earlier pitches.
I think when the test matches ends in 3 days, I don't think there's no such thing as good pitches. Where both Sri Lanka's innings were 170.
174 and 178.
Yeah. So unacceptable by Sri Lanka, considering they have got spinners in their side and the
Yes.
conditions they play in Sri Lanka are also ranked turners. Um,
Yes.
so regardless of who is bowling from India, Ravi Ashwin, Jadeja, and they
Yeah.
debuted a new player.
Jayant
A new
Yadav.
player. Yeah.
He has already played a lot of test matches for India.
Okay. So Axel Patel was injured, I believe, not
Yes,
playing.
Akshay Patel is injured.
Um, which is a bit of a shame. Um, it's not like Sri Lanka um, have don't have spinners of themselves. Emi
ML
Buola is
Junior.
a very good. He's a
Yes.
very good spinner. He had a poor match today. He gave the English team a lot of trouble when England toured there. So it's not like Sri
Yes.
Lanka don't know how to play spin. They should be able to play spin. I think problems are with their selection. They've got a couple of players I tweeted about actually. I said to you that I didn't pay attention to this test match, but I paid attention to the players that Sri Lanka played, and I think there's players there that don't deserve to be there.
Yeah.
And we'll probably get into that later.
Yes. Uh, you have talked about the Sri Lankan team management, the team players
Mm,
that they are not been performing, especially the
yeah.
senior players who's not been setting
Mm,
up for the very long period of time. You have mentioned in the Twitter that Lahiru Thirmane is one of them who has played
mm.
over 40 or 45 test matches, still doesn't get the average in the 30s as a
Yeah.
test match player. So that is really shame, isn't it?
It's shocking.
Yes.
There must be something seriously wrong with the domestic Sri Lankan league if a guy
Yeah.
that's played 40 test matches,
Yeah.
40 test matches, that's half of that. You know how many test players or international players will take 40 test matches? That
Yeah.
means you've been playing for a long, long time. Um, and to only average 27 after opening, he's an opener as well. He opens.
Yes. Yes. Yes.
Um,
He's now. No.
that that would not cut it in Australia. That would not cut it in New Zealand. That would not cut it in India. That would not cut it
No.
anywhere else. Maybe
No.
Bangladesh. Even then, they'd probably look for a new opener. But 40 Test matches, an average of 27 for an opener. If you're a number 6, I'd understand that. Number 5,
Yes.
understand that, but not an opener. That's just ridiculous, and they need to get rid of. as brutal as this sounds, they need to get rid of him. They need to get someone, a youngster, an 18, 19-year-old that's probably doing well in the domestic series, the domestic football series in Sri Lanka, and start bleeding him. Anybody, whether they're 40 or 18, this guy just needs to go. He's a huge problem. Another problem is Angelo Matthews.
Matthews.
He is a real big problem. A senior player that's been around for a long time as well, a long, long time. Mainly known for his white ball cricket, but he is being selected as a test player. When he came onto the ranks, we had this discussion. Well, not me and you, but there was a discussion around that he's a talent. He's a future talent. While he might have lived up to that talent white ball wise, and T20 wise, not test match wise, he's been a total flop. He's also another part of their problem. So I think Sri Lanka are playing players that do not deserve to be in this team. And whether they have nobody in the four-ball domestic structure to replace these guys, I still think it's just unacceptable. We've got to get someone else, get a couple of 18-year-olds, 40-year-olds, I don't care who, and replace these two guys. They're the main problem. The other one is their captain. Yeah, Kulanath. Now, he's been around a long, long time now. While he can play, he has got talent. He's shown in innings. Yeah, he's seen his innings in South Africa where he guided Sri Lanka to victory. The problem what I have hugely with him, he is so inconsistent. He could have a good day and then have 100 bad days. Have one good day, 100 bad days. For me, that's not good enough for a player that's captaining the team. It's supposed to be leading from example. And he's had another bad test match.
Lucas, you have made a very interesting point. But don't you think he's the only guy in this test team for the Sri Lankan team who looks much more promising than the other players? If you look at the other players who doesn't even average in the 30s, and this guy is having average of 40s. He's played over 70 test matches, and if you look at his record, it's been quite remarkable if you compare with the other Sri Lankan guy. He's been far much better opener. If you talk about if you can compare him with the Dean Olga, the Dimut Karuratne has been performing very well over the years. So if you look at the Sri Lankan team, you will find anyone. If you find any one more player, if you find any player who is more capable of scoring runs in any condition, is that Dimut Karuratne. Go ahead, Lucas. And one more thing. You have mentioned one more point about this Angelo Matthews and Lahiru Thurmane. It is such a shame that they have been playing continuously cricket. It is also a reflect the Sri Lankan domestic cricket also. They are not getting any replacement for this kind of players who's been averaging around the 30s. Especially, I'm talking about Lahiru Thurmane. Go ahead, Lucas.
Well, with Kulakaratne, like I said, he can play. He's been around for a very long time. And as I just said, we all know what he did in South Africa with that series where he led them to a famous test win. But unfortunately, he's not as consistent as a David Warner. He's not as consistent as a Rohit Sharma. He's not as consistent as a Tom Latham. Like I said, he'll have one good innings and 10 bad innings. One good innings, 10 bad innings. That it's hard to say. If you want to rank the openers in tiers, Rohit Sharma, David Warner would be tier 1, along probably with Tom Latham. Dean Elgar, tier B. Tier B. Tier B or rank 2, whatever you want to say. You struggle to put Kulakaratne in the B rank or T2 rank because of his inconsistency. Great player on his day. He's more than capable. Let's not be disrespectful. He is more than capable. Yeah. Like I said, I've seen that innings where he made against South Africa, brilliant. But he just doesn't. There's a huge difference between his best cricket and his worst cricket. If he could make his worst cricket be average, he'd be a whole better player consistently. Whole better player. So that's one thing that. He can do better, but unfortunately, he's probably not going to do better because he's played over 70 matches. Then you look at the bowling side of Sri Lanka. That's its worst problems. Absolute nightmare. Um,
And the problem, and one more
yeah,
problem you have mentioned about the bowling lineup. I just need to cover all this up. That
yeah,
Suranga Lakmal has been retiring from international cricket after
mm,
this series, and
yeah,
he is only 34 years old. Just imagine,
yeah,
he has been their star performer for a very long period of time in the Test matches. He picks wicket with the new
yeah,
ball, with the old ball, and he is retiring now at the age of 34. Do you know why? Just because he wants to play county cricket and he
mm,
doesn't want to represent, because he will be after this series, he will be joining with I think a Derbyshire team, if I'm not wrong, where the Mickey
yeah,
Arthur is their coach of this county team, and has signed the 2-year contract with the with that county team, and he will be not. He's retiring from the international cricket. Just imagine the situation of the Sri Lankan cricket team. A fast bowler who is on his prime been retiring at the age of the 34. So what do you want to say about this? That Lucas, go ahead.
yeah. Like again with Lackmole, you wouldn't put him in the tier ones with. I was actually going to say Stark there. Jesus, how disrespectful is that? With Hazelwood, um, with Anderson Broad,
Yes,
with
yes.
Ragnar. But Lackmole has been around for 10 plus years. He's taken over 150 Test wickets. You take over 150 Test wickets. You're no mug. That's a very good career. 150 Test wickets. His average is 36. That's a bit high, but still that's okay.
And especially
Yeah,
when you
yeah,
played most of the test matches in your Asian
yeah,
condition, and his
yeah,
record has
yeah,
been outside
yeah,
Asia condition, has been quite remarkable if you look at his
yeah,
stats. Go ahead, Lucas.
yeah, yeah. 36. You think, oh, how can someone average 36 and be good? Well, as you just said, he's played most of his cricket in spin-friendly conditions. Um, England, he's very potent in England. He wasn't the worst bowler in Australia when they toured 3 years ago.
If I'm not wrong,
So
he's taken a 5 wicket all over the country, in the England, in the
mm,
Australia, and in
yes,
the New Zealand.
yes,
I think he has his 5 wicket all
yes,
everywhere. Go
yeah,
ahead.
yeah. So he's a proper swing bowler, um, and unfortunately, you don't swing it in Sri Lanka. You don't swing it in India, um, like you would in Australia, South Africa, England. So he's a very potent swing bowler, and to retire at 34, when you see James Anderson playing at 40, probably even 41, who's just came out and said he wants to play in the next Ashes series, he'd be 43. Someone to retire at 34 years of age, and still abroad also, is a little bit upsetting. He's, like I said, he's been around since 2010. He's played over 10 years, and it's just kind of a shame that he it seems to me he's a guy that likes bowling. He wants to retire from international cricket to play in the English county, where it's bowling friendly. So he just wants to bowl. And we know Sri Lanka's problem. They don't play as many Test matches as other countries do. So he doesn't get much opportunity. He only plays 8 Test matches a year, if that, and half of those will be
Lucas,
yep.
Lucas, do you think that the money was the main problem behind that he moving to the county team? Because county team will be playing more than the Sri Lanka cricket, what he will be getting
Mm.
in the county team after joining with that.
No, I don't. I don't think money would be an issue. If Lakmal retired because he wanted to play IPL, that'd be a little bit different. I just
No,
think I just think Lakmal just wants to bowl. He's a bowler that likes to bowl at batsmen. I don't see this as a money decision. Because for one, county marquee player. I don't really want to call them marquee players, but you know what I mean. Marquee players, international players outside of England. They do get paid more than what they would. So they do. International players get played more in the county than actual English players, like Joe Root, for example.
just more
Joe
one
Root
thing,
played.
Lucas. I think the problem with the Sri Lankan cricket over the in if you look at it in 2 3 years, they have been problem with this payment issue, with the money issue, that
Mm,
they are not paying as much as they see their performance of the player, and according to that they pay their money, they pay their players fees. So that has been the issues for 2 3 years, and a lot of players has been retired. Just I'm giving the example of Tishara Pereira, who was playing a very good hand with the Sri Lankan team. He was a very handy cricketer. Retired at the age of 33, 34, and playing all the leagues over the country just because he can earn a lot of money. So players are also thinking, if Sri Lankan cricket board is not handling, giving a lot of money to their players. Players are thinking that they also need to think about their future, and this is the time that they can earn the money and they can live out with the whole life. So that's the reason. This is what I thinking. If county team is paying more than what Sri Lanka cricket is giving to the Lucknow, that's the reason he's retiring early. Go ahead, Lucas.
I just don't see it as a money thing in this case. As I said, Joe Root plays for Yorkshire. He would not get the amount of money Lucknow is getting now to play in Derbyshire.
Yeah.
Nowhere near.
Yes.
No, not even close. And Joe Root is the face of English cricket at the moment. And Yorkshire would do everything to get him there, but he's nowhere near on that county money than what Lucknow would be. But I just think Lucknow is 34. He has got paid very well in his career. Like I said, he's been around for 10 years. It's not like he's turned up when he's only 32, 33 and just played 10 test matches. He has been around for a lot of years. He's played in World Cups. He's played in T20 World Cups. He's played in 50 over World Cups. He's played in IPL.
No, he hasn't played in IPL.
Okay, he hasn't played in IPL. Okay. Geez, that's surprising. So he still would get paid a lot of money over his career, playing in these tournaments, T20 World Cup, 50 over World Cup. Not just one time, he's played numerous T20 World Cups. He's played numerous 50 over World Cups. He did start his career, as I said, 10 years ago in 2010. We're in 2022 now. So it wouldn't make sense for him to come out if he came out and said, no, I've left for money. He's got paid really well over his career. And if he does come out and say, well, the money was too good to be true, then we maybe need to look at how Sri Lanka are playing their players. Because Sri Lanka have had marvelous players over this generation. Kumar Sangakkara, Mahela Jadwana, Tremenda Vas, Seneth Jayasuriya, and they've never once came out complained about money.
No, that was the main reason. Look, this is what my point was, because earlier the Sri Lanka was different team. Was the Sanam Jayasuriya, Muralidharan, Kumar Sangakkara was playing. Sri Lanka was a totally different team. And now the Sri Lankan team is going through the transition period for a very long period of time. The same thing happened with the West Indies team. So the West Indies team was a different team. They had a very good fast bowler, their team. But now you see with the West Indies, they are declining. Same goes with the Sri Lanka team. They had a different, the players were performing at that period of time. There was never an issue that they will not be paid a good amount of money. But now this Sri Lankan team has not been playing to their expectation for not just for 1 2 years. So just imagine the transition period only goes for 1 or 2 years, but this Sri Lankan team has been going through the transition period for 5 6 7 8 years. Was the Sangakkara left in 2015 or 2016? I think for that period of time, the Sri Lanka team is facing the same problem, that going with the same transition period. They have been losing series in their home also. So Sri Lankan board had decided they will pay their players according to their performances. This is what my point was. Go ahead, Lucas.
Well, if they're going to pay players to their performance, then I don't blame Lucknow one bit. Because Sri Lanka's performances over the last 5 6 years has been disgraceful in Test match cricket. It's been near Bangladesh. That's embarrassing within itself. But it's been with West Indies. We know what's happened in West Indies, where they've invested so much money into T20, or let me be more specific, so much money into white ball cricket, and that has failed badly, absolutely badly. And as we've mentioned Sri Lanka getting games, players getting games when they shouldn't. West Indies are victims of that as well. With Shy Hope, just to name one of them, he's playing all these Test matches nowhere near as good as he is in the white ball game. So I think this is what's happened to Sri Lanka. They've got carried away with this T20 format, and they thought, well, let's be a powerhouse in T20. Let's be a powerhouse in 50 over game, where if you don't have the players to perform, we have to remember Australia, India, South Africa, New Zealand. They have they have more resources than Sri Lanka. They have a lot more resources. So Sri Lanka, when it comes to that resources, they're behind. They're behind the rest. And if you invest yourself into the short form of the game, which we know I've got a huge problem with that, but that's their decision.
And one
yeah,
more problem,
yeah,
if you're talking about they want to invest their cricket
yeah,
in the shorter format, even in the
yeah,
ODIs and even in the T20, they
yeah.
are not performing there also,
No,
man. They
no,
are they have been not been
no.
performing there also. Just imagine, you can tell this thing about this West Indies
Mm,
team that they have invested their players. The players wanted
yeah,
to play in the T20 franchise, and uh,
yeah,
West Indies cricket has won the World Cup also with the T20 World Cups. But
yeah.
you can't say the same thing with the Sri Lankan. Sri Lankan
No.
cricket team has been struggling in the white ball format also. Go ahead.
All I hear in the white ball cricket, for the last 5-10 years is, can Malinga play an extra series?
Yes,
It's got it's
Lasith
got it's
Malinga.
gotten to it's gotten to that
Mhm.
point where they want to play Malinga till he's 50, and
Yeah,
they've seemed to invested a whole lot into this white ball situation. And as you said, West Indies, while it has destroyed their Test cricket, they did win a World
yeah,
Cup. 20. I might laugh at that because everyone knows I don't like T20, but they've made a decision and they won a T20 World Cup. Sri Lanka
yeah.
have gone down this same decision and have not won a T. They haven't even came close. Last World Cup,
No,
the 50 over World Cup, which England won against New Zealand, Sri Lanka were non-existent in that final. They did nothing.
no.
They did nothing. T20 World Cup in India. When was the last T20? Last year.
Yeah.
Again, they did nothing. They did absolutely
Mm.
nothing. So this transition period that they want to believe in is not working because
Not
they're
at all.
asking players like Malinga, "Oh, can you play for us again? Just one more series?" He says,
No,
"Okay."
I think
Next,
he
yep,
has
yep,
retired also. He has
yeah,
retired
yeah,
also.
good,
Lasith Malinga has
yeah,
retired.
yeah,
He has given
yeah.
retirement that he will be not be coming back. And
Well,
let's
he's
forget
retired
about that.
that
I think
many.
there will be a lot of.
Well,
Yes, he has
yeah,
retired.
yeah. When Malinga's retired that many times, you don't even know if what's true or not coming out of his mouth anymore.
No,
Now every time he retires, he seems to be back 6 months later, playing in a
no, no.
series. So, um,
He has
it,
retired from the all forms of cricket. He has
yeah,
retired from the
okay,
all forms of cricket. He's not been playing
okay,
franchise cricket. Also, he said that he has done enough, and he will be not be playing cricket. Forget about that.
okay,
There will be a lot of discussion around the Sri Lankan cricket issue, which has been going for a very long period of time. The cricket board and the players, there has been issue for a very long period of time. Forget about that. Let's come to the test matches again. The Ravindra Jadeja. What do you want to say about the Ravindra Jadeja? 175 runs, picked up 9 wickets in this test match. What do you want to say about the superstar? Which Shane, the great Shane Bond, has given a name to him. Rockstar, sorry,
mm.
the Rockstar. Go ahead.
Well, he's a top 2 all rounder in the world. He's absolutely fantastic. He's so potent in Asia. Um, it's amazing to me that he's played most of his career in Asia. It's only recently where India have trusted him to play outside of Asia, because there were tours where they would just pick Ashwin. They wouldn't consider Jadeja's batting. They wouldn't consider his bowling. But his big threat has been his batting the last 2 years outside of India. He may not be making hundreds, but he's making these crucial 30s and 40s, and really establishing himself as a proper number 7 after Richard Pant, or the keeper, last 2 years. So there's been a huge debate whether is he the best all-rounder after Ben Stokes. I on his day, I prefer Ben Stokes over Jadeja, because I've seen Ben Stokes at 3 a.m. destroy a world-class pace attack and win a game for England. As sad as that pain that brings me, that brings me a lot of pain seeing that, because I had to sit there and actually watch that crap. Take down Mitchell Stark, Hazelwood, and Lyon. I'm yet to see Jadeja do that when it comes to batting. I'm yet to see him go after an attack 175. That's no
Yes,
joke.
exactly.
That's no joke.
Yes.
That is absolutely terrific. But
And especially when you are batting
yeah,
at number 6
yeah,
or number 7.
yeah. He's probably the best batsman at number 7. in the world. I can't think of it. I think Ben Stokes bats at 5. So
Yes, he bats at number 5.
yeah,
He bats at
I
number
think
5.
I think Jadeja, whether he's batting at 6 or 7, I think he's the best number 6 or 7 in the world right now, batting wise. Like I said, it's only his last 2 years. His 2 years, his average has gone from like 20 to 40. It's absolutely skyrocketed. So that's what's really been impressive, because Kohli can say, or in this case, Rohit Sharma is now the captain. Can say we can trust Jadeja now, outside of Asia batting wise. We can trust that he can make a 30, he can make a 40, or he can hold down an innings for an hour, and put some pressure back on the bowlers. We can trust him. And with that in mind, he bowls good spin as well. So that the Indian cricket team can now trust Jadeja as they couldn't trust, as they picked Ashwin every single time they went outside of India and left Jadeja home or on reserve. Jadeja's the best number 6, number 7 going around, whatever you want to call him. And he's a very good potent bowler in his home conditions. He's taken 9 wickets in this match. He averages 24 with the ball. So that's no muck. That's a world-class spinner. And he has taken crucial wickets outside of India as well in these last 2 years. Very crucial wickets. So he's proven himself to be a world-class player, and is probably going to go down as one of the best all-rounders ever.
Okay, just wanted to discuss one more thing about this Ravichandra Ashwin. Then we will be discussing one more important topic. What do you want to say about the Ravichandra Ashwin? He's gone past, I think, the great Kapil Dev. Is going around. I think he has played only 70 to 80 test matches and picked up over 420 or 430 test matches now. Test match 30 wickets, 434, 35 test matches wickets. What do you want to say about Ravichandra Ashwin? He has been performing very well in the test matches.
Well, he's the best spinner in the world.
Yeah.
No, maybe Nathan Lyon, because Nathan Lyon, is only play. You feel like Nathan Lyon's been around for 30 years, but he debuted in Sri Lanka. So Ashwin played more cricket than Nathan Lyon. Ashwin started way before Nathan Lyon was even playing in the Redbacks team. And Nathan Lyon's got around 300 test wickets. But what I like about Ashwin is
I think he's gone over 400 wickets. I'm not wrong.
Yeah, sorry, Nathan. Yeah, so Nathan Lyon's got 400, but they're two different spinners. But what I like more from Ashwin compared to the other spinners is that Ashwin can actually bat. That's no disrespect to Nathan Lyon. Nathan Lyon can bat. I'm just trying to think of other spinners. No, so it's basically only Ashwin.
Yeah, he scored 100 in Australia.
Well, you just look at his attack. Who was leading that attack that day? Oh, well, Mitchell Starc. What else?
Mitchell Starc.
Yeah, exactly. No, I think Ashwin's way more consistent than the Ashish Shah. That was just a freak 100. And like Jadeja, Ashwin, has been very reliable over the last 2 years, 3 years with his batting outside of India to come up with these 30s, these 40s. As much as this pains me to say, he was very good in Sydney and the Gabba, we all know.
Yes, I was just about to remind you that he was as you are speaking, you are in pain. He was in a lot of pain there about the back issue, and he was facing. He was not able to stand on that day. He just, if you have seen some of his interviews, he was not able to stand. And that day, and a lot of bouncer was bowling. A lot of bouncer was being bowled to him also. And after that, he also survived the entire day. So that was quite remarkable. That was quite remarkable on that day.
Yeah. So his batting is just an added bonus, which can separate the rest of the spin bowlers from Ashwin, and it's his resilience as well. He's a very resilient guy. I can't remember a series where he's had soft tissue injuries. He's had an arm problem. He's had a knee problem. He's played a lot of test matches. He's got the maximum from his career. I think he might have missed a couple of matches here and there, but I don't remember him missing a whole series due to injury.
He just missed this
Yeah,
test matches outside India just because India
yeah,
picked him over Jadeja during
yeah,
that
yeah.
period of time once
So yeah,
India was losing
yeah.
outside over India. He is
So
the number one
yeah,
spinner, but
yeah,
after the 1-2 test matches, Indian team drops him and Jadeja
yeah,
obviously plays, and that's
yeah,
the only reason he
yeah,
got dropped in the test
yeah.
matches.
So
I think he hasn't missed the test
yeah,
matches due to injuries.
yeah.
Go ahead.
So Ashwin, when it comes to injury rise, is very resilient. He's got the most out of his career. We see players that get injured, don't play much. They've been around for 10, 15 years, only played 50 matches because of injury. That's not a problem for Ashwin. He's a very resilient guy, and he's very tall. So you'd think, the tall he is, you'd be prone to some kind of injury, elbow injury, knee injury. But he's been very lucky throughout his career when it comes to injuries. But he's an extremely potent bowler, as we can see. Um, Probably when his career is done, he's probably going to be the best Indian spinner of all time. You've got Anil
Yes,
Kumble.
with no doubt.
Anil Kumble would be number one. But I
Yes,
think when Ashwin, he could play another 4 or 5 years. Um,
obviously
you know,
he can.
so I think when his career's done, he's going to be India's greatest ever spinner. I think he can take around 550, 600. I think he can push around 550, 600 wickets.
I think he needs to
I think,
go with this Anil Kumble record, who has taken
yeah,
619 or 620 test matches.
yeah,
Wicket. I think he
yeah,
will go past
yeah,
around Anil Kumble.
yeah. I think he can get that because India do play a lot of test matches. While they play a lot of
Yes.
white ball cricket, they do play a lot of test
Yeah.
matches as well. And when they
Yeah.
do play test matches, they play four test series. They play three test series. They don't really play a once
Yeah.
off or two test series much unless they're playing
No.
Sri Lanka
No.
or West Indies.
Yes.
So when they do go outside of India, Australia's usually a 3-4 test series. New Zealand's usually a 3 test series. South Africa's a 3 test series. England's a 3 test series. So and he can make that up very quickly. So I think he'll go down as India's best spin bowler when he's retired, not for another 5-6 years.
Okay. We have discussed everything about this test match. Let's discuss about this main thing which happened, I think, yesterday, about the greatest spinner the game has ever seen, about the Shane Warne. Uh, we have seen our obviously how Shane Warne was how great Shane Warne was as a bowler. We once we started watching cricket, the Shane Warne was the main spinner in the international cricket. So what do you want to say about the Shane Warne and how has been in the mood of with the whole Australian what do you call it public because they have seen their hero is now went away. Go ahead, Lucas.
It was well, we have to consider the fact that we weren't mourning, but Rod Marsh, who's one of our greatest ever keepers, passed
Yes.
away the day before. So we
Yeah.
were kind of in shock with that. But Rod Marsh had health issues. Now, not to say Rod Marsh's death was expected. We don't wish that upon anybody, but he did have health issues before that. He wasn't feeling that great. And Shane Warne made a tweet about it. He said, "Rest in peace,
Yes.
Rod Marsh."
Yes.
Um,
Yes.
and then you go to bed because the news didn't break until 6 a.m., 7 a.m. local time, or earliest 5 a.m. if you're from Sydney. So we all went to bed thinking, "Geez, Rod Marsh, oh well, it's a very very sad day." This took us by absolute surprise because Shane Warne was commentating 10 days ago for the T20 match against Sri Lanka with Russell
Yes.
Arnold because I actually did watch the Indian and Sri Lankan preview game, and Russell Arnold was talking about it. He's saying that I was only with Shane Warne 10 days ago. Doing commentary. He was enjoying life. Um, he was talking about vacation, which he was at the time in Thailand. And he was so enjoying life. He was in the great shape of his career. There was no sign of this. Russell Arnold said, he was just acting as warning. And when you wake up around 6:30, 5 a.m., 7:30, wherever you're from Australia, and a lot of people thought it was a joke. That not to
Yeah.
be
Yeah.
disrespectful.
Yes.
Not to make fun of this, but everyone thought it was a joke. Everyone was saying, "Oh, come on, he's fucking who started this nonsense? Who started this garbage?" Warney can't die. He's the king of spin. Whoever did this is just pulling our leg. That was the actual reaction. That was the initial reaction. And then more information came through, and then his manager came out and said, "Yeah, it happened." And then I think we just either just stopped what we were doing, started to boil our eyes out, started to cry, or just froze, like time froze still, as the saying goes. We just could not believe it. And I think that day, there's a saying, "Forever in a day." Well, that came close to it. That first 3 hours after waking up and seeing that notification, that felt like forever. That felt like till the end of time. And it was very somber day. And even 5 hours after he was pronounced dead, people wouldn't believe it. It was still sinking in. It was still, people were saying, "Well, we're just, sorry for my language, we're just expecting one to walk through the door." Mark Howard, who's doing presenting for the Pakistan Australian game preview show, saying he still expects Warney to walk through the door after 5 hours of his death and say, "Oh, hello, it's just a sick joke." So even then, people didn't want to believe. They just did not want to believe this. But it absolute shock, absolute total shock. I think that's the most shocking thing about this. It was so unexpected. If he had health issues, if he was dealing with something, that would be different. But this was so out of the blue. The percentage, it was that low. A meteor had a chance of hitting the Earth, had a better percentage of hitting the Earth. It was just unbelievably shocking. Total shock.
So we in India also were a lot of cricket guys who obviously who was not watching cricket earlier daily, was also complete in a shock that how can be a guy like Shane Warne, who hasn't had the health issue ever and who was the king of the
No,
spin, can go
no,
so much
no.
early. But that's how life is fragile, and you can't expect anything. Okay, and this is how the life goes. So we will try to wrap this
Well,
show, and
yeah, well,
yeah, go ahead.
the same thing happened to Dean Jones.
Yes,
That was unexpected. Dean Jones was, that took us all by surprise as well.
yes,
And I feel very sorry for Brett Lee, who had to use CPR and all that. But that was like that moment. That was so shocking.
yeah,
But even more shocking. So, and we even till this day, Shane Warne's body. This is a kid-friendly show, but is still yet to be identified, and people are still saying, "Well, no, this is still a sick joke after all this time."
yeah.
So it's just shocking, and
Okay, I think Lucas is just out of this show. Okay, Lucas.
yeah. Um, so I'm having camera problems, but yeah,
Yes, go ahead.
to his friend. Sorry, yeah, I'm back. So to his friends, to his family, his kids, his Simone, his former wife. My deepest prayers go to him, go to
Yes,
them, families. Everybody was sad. Ricky Ponting was in tears.
yes,
Little interview, absolutely in tears, and my prayers and thoughts go out to all of Shane Warne's friends and the people of
yes,
Australia and
and
worldwide,
Campbell.
because Shane Warne was just as loved in India and in Pakistan
Yes,
as much as in Australia.
yes,
So it's just a tragic moment, and my prayers and thoughts go with his friends and all his fans
yes.
everywhere.
Yes, with that, I am wrapping the show. Being we have become very emotional about the Shane Warne tragedy, what happened, and our deepest condolence to to their friends, to their family on this
Yes.
tough time. I hope they will be able to live up with uh, without him, because
Yes.
obviously it's the tough time which nobody wants to face it. So till then,
No.
guys, thank you, Lucas. It was a pleasure talking to you. I know you have also become very emotional after this tragedy thing happened with the Shane Warne.
Mm.
Till then, guys, we will try to wrap this show. Thank you, Lucas. It was a pleasure talking to you. We will meet some other time as the Pakistan and the Australian Test match will get over. Till then, guys, do like the video. Don't forget to subscribe and hit the bell icon. We will meet some other time. Thank you, Lucas.
Thank you, guys. Thank you.